Okay. Welcome everybody to Culture Beast. We're calling this 9.5.
9.5.
Because it's supposed to be 10, but like since he's not here,
Yeah.
we figured to let he be
sense.
on the 10th. And it's kind of our podcast. We're like, you know what? Like,
It's 9.5.
9.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, this is Nate
Sometimes those
Lowmuller.
half episodes are good.
Yeah,
They're
like
just
we
good.
did like 2.5 and like 2-ish, and then we did actually 3, and it went on from there. So I think we had like 3 more before that, but it don't matter. But
Yeah, hi, I'm Nate.
yeah, this is Nate Lowmuller. We go back a long ways, dude.
Yes.
Like back when you had your Escort. I was trying to think about it the other day. It's probably almost 10 years.
Yeah, it's been at least 10 years, for sure.
It's so crazy.
You know, they say if you have your friends for 7 years, then you have them for life. So.
Cool. Cheers to life.
Lifers.
And cheers to that.
For sure.
Yeah, so Nate, him and Phil
Yeah.
Lowther have a podcast called Oh Yeah with an exclamation point. I was on their podcast last year. No, this year.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of like, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Like, are you sick at all or
Right.
anything like that? And before we even thought about having to wear face masks, every day or anything like that, it was just like, before that.
Yeah, before that. Before we knew what was actually going to happen.
In the old days.
Back
Back in the old days.
Before the world got turned on its ear.
It so did.
So Nate has a history of building really great Volkswagens. Really cool Beetle, first generation Rabbit.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. My first car actually was a 69 Volkswagen Beetle. And
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. My mom's first car was a Beetle. My dad's first car was a Beetle. My first car was a Beetle.
Sweet.
So
My first car was a Beetle, technically. Yeah.
Right.
So
it
cool.
just kind of like worked, you know, and that's what I wanted. And when we got it, the thing had no floorboards in it.
This one? Oh, your first one.
Yeah,
Okay,
the first one. And they have if you get an old Beetle, a lot of times the floor pan's rusted out. So
Yeah, that's how mine
we
were.
Flintstoned it home.
Nice.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. It was a
Nice.
good first car.
What color was it?
It was red, and then I painted it black in the driveway with
Nice.
like a old paint gun from my grandpa's garage.
Rad.
So yeah,
So cool.
yeah,
So that kind of kickstarted you into cars.
yeah.
Nice.
I mean, man, I did some dumb stuff to that thing.
Right. We all do dumb stuff to our first cars.
Yeah,
You saw me with my Legacy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I actually admired the little springs that held the hatch down.
Nice.
Those were cool. Like I thought those
The
were cool.
rally-inspired springs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, so the Beetles, like the metal dash is kind of iconic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I covered mine in subwoofer carpet.
Nice.
It was like too metal, so I was like, eh.
Dude, I got a 66 from a junkyard and like attempted to make it a hot rod. Like I look back on that thing and it was like it was straight, it was good.
Like, what
and
did I do?
Yeah, and I hacked it up and I still feel like I don't deserve to own a Sweet Beetle.
It was
of
a
like
67, you said?
it was a 66.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 65 and older, you might have been, shanked by some old
Yeah.
Volkswagen guy, but
Did you see the oval window that's for sale right now?
locally,
Yeah, it's
I
in
didn't.
Wyoming. They
didn't.
turned it into a Baja. It's $800.
that's crazy.
Yes,
Maybe because it's a Baja. And
it's a
no one
Haggard
wants
Baja,
it.
but
Yeah.
it's still an oval window. I'm like,
Wow.
kind of want to go buy it.
I think even rusty oval windows go for like $10,000. So
Exactly.
yeah,
You don't find ovals for.
no.
I mean, it needs rear aprons, front aprons, that. But I mean,
If you decided to get it and then turn it back to like an original oval or something
yeah.
like
I mean,
that,
you can buy aprons.
sure, yeah. Unless something's like cut,
Yeah.
you're
And it
should be
comes with a dune
restorable.
buggy shell too, like a caged dune buggy shell.
Oh wow,
Yeah, it comes with 2 cars basically.
that is pretty cool.
Oh, I want to buy it so bad.
Yeah,
It's not the
yeah.
financial decision I need to make right now,
No.
but I want to buy it really bad.
For sure. Yeah, that sounds cool.
So yeah, and then you got a Jeep now.
Yeah, I didn't really see myself as kind of like a Jeeper guy.
I didn't see you as a Jeeper guy.
But what what really appeals to what really appeals to me about the Jeep is that it's just like the other cars that I've had.
Right.
Like, the reality is it is just like a Civic. It is just like a Beetle. You can do anything to it you want.
Right.
And no one judges you.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a huge culture around it.
Yeah.
Like,
there's heaps of parts available.
Yeah. And it's I can make it my own without having to copy anybody else.
Right.
It still fits within that that desire to be creative. And since we live here in Montana, it's like the excuse to do car stuff year round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was like
true.
almost a no-brainer to do it. And it's taken me on so many adventures up into the mountains now that I should have done this way sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like I've told you this like personally, but like I've always admired how you build your cars, and so how like I've seen you build your Jeep is like true to your style. Like
For
you
sure.
have you have a style of like intentionality behind building your vehicles, and it's cool that we've been long enough friends to like that I can know that about you.
Yeah.
You know, and but then it translates into like what you're building your Jeep as.
Sure. That's
So,
cool.
Yeah, it's super sick.
I didn't know that.
I think I told you that before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I just
Yeah,
forgot.
that's good.
Maybe I just didn't really pay attention that there's something different or weird. I just do what I do. You know?
Yeah, you do, and that's what makes you so great is you just kind of do your own thing. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So what do you tell the people that don't know like what you do, like what you.
Sure. You know, a lot of people that are car people or are friends or any podcast fans might know me as Nalo.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I've been, kind of my online personality, really.
Right.
I'm just a blue collar working guy. I work nonstop all the time.
Yeah, you do.
You know, hours and hours and hours. But I only do that for money. I don't do that for fun. I do other things for fun. So what I really like is camping. Hanging out with my family. My kids are getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
So we can kind of just adventure around now, which is really neat. I've been in youth ministry for a long time too, and I do. I'm a youth pastor out at a church in Laurel, and that is just a really cool gig.
You're going on your second year, is that right?
Since 2017, so I think I'm since January. I've been in my third year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
nice.
That
was a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was so used to like a large group of kids and like a larger church with like a big budget and
Right.
Things like that I kind of got spoiled. So when I got into God called me to some place different to kind of put me into a more leadership role.
Right.
It was kind of culture shock.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it was good though. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about God, and it's better.
Yeah, and I feel like you had a lot of preparation prior to moving over there, because
Yeah.
you had served at the other church for so long,
Sure.
which I thought was super cool. You
Yeah, I gained a lot of skills there for sure, and
It's like equipping for like the next step,
Yeah. I do joke about it all the time though, because I feel like I did youth ministry so long before diving into any like real leadership part of it that once I actually had to talk to adults,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Like
Yeah.
you put me in front of 6th through 12th graders, and I'm like a kid again. And I just talk to them, and we can connect and really relate. And then I have to fill in and teach at church on Sunday, and it's like I'm on a different planet.
Right.
And everyone's staring at me. It's like way worse.
Uh-huh.
And most people have the other kind of anxiety. They don't like talking in front of students or high schoolers, and they feel so judgy. But it's really the opposite for me.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what like I think has because you have that kind of youthfulness, which like lends your filters out more for culture, like what's going on culturally. So so that's why like having you be here tonight is like fits really, really well, is because you have that this sense of culture about you.
It's really interesting because some of that stuff is starting to go online now a lot more than it used to.
Yeah.
And I had to teach these older folks what Twitch was, and to teach them about people play games
and,
online and they watch people play games and they're like, what? I don't get it. I'm like, and they pay them too. It's weird.
They pay them real well.
Yeah, they make lots of money playing video games.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
So Hugh is out giving like a hunting, camping trip or something like that. So,
Hugh, come on.
Yeah, I know. So it's his girlfriend's dad that's like putting it on or something. So he's out doing that. So
cool.
So yeah, so like what we talked about off air, like just instead of skipping, like let's keep going and make it as consistent as we can be. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do a 9.5 and a 9.75.
Yes.
And a 9.85.
We talked about it. You and I talked about that. We're like, we could do like 100 episodes between 10.
Yeah,
and
sure.
then just hit 10,
Yeah, this is 9.867. Yeah, that would be cool.
It'd be so funny.
Okay, now it's 10.
So glad you're here.
Yeah.
So we just kind of talk about culture stuff and like have some beer and just kind of hang out. So
I'm all about it.
Yeah, and we've intentionally set Friday nights as kind of the night that we record because it's like, kind of get to hang out with our, me and you just get to hang out and, we have some people that hang out with us. So we have Dalton here.
Yeah, it's great.
Dalton's back in the studio, and Ryan, our executive producer. Is that your name?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Executive producer.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's
Executive sound producer.
I like producer.
Because I produce the show.
Yeah, but I produce you.
If all the
That's
people
true.
watching could if they could all just see his wonderful suit he's wearing right now because he's an executive.
Oh, yes, executive.
Executive director.
Yeah.
So executive producer. Is there an acronym for that? EP?
Probably.
EP?
EPU.
Our EPU.
Yeah.
Ryan is our
Executive
EPU.
producer, utility guy.
Electronic poo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. So we all have beer from Canyon Creek Brewing tonight.
This is not their growler.
It's
but
not their growler. I had it on my shelf.
Yeah, really great local brewery. Just talented beer maker.
Mm-hmm.
Really makes some amazing brews and beers. So.
Yeah, like we were saying, like I haven't really given them a good shake just because like their public notoriety.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like to be honest, like their space is like really hard for me to get behind.
Yeah.
Because it's just so dark in there.
Sure.
When I went in today, I was just like, golly, like why do people hang out in here?
I think that's what to me makes me realize how good the beer really is.
Right.
Because like the place looks cool on the outside, and then you're like, this is lame. Like you can tell there's not many people involved in trying to make the atmosphere enjoyable.
And for me as a designer, like I redesign every space I go into.
Sure.
And I'm like, why did they do a black ceiling with dark blue walls? Like, it's like a dungeon.
Yeah, you don't even wear black and blue together.
Right.
Like, don't paint it on your wall.
Right, exactly.
I know that.
Right. So, yeah, I'm glad you suggested it, though, because I would have gone to Thirsty Street or something else, and I would have given it a
Thirsty Street, though. Like,
yeah. It doesn't get much better than Thirsty Street. Like,
their stuff is good.
It's so good.
They have a banana one.
They have a banana one?
When the last time I went, it was like a banana something, and it was really, really good. Did you say you worked there?
Yeah, I worked there for like 3 months, like right before COVID.
Oh, nice.
A little bit through COVID, but
I'm impressed by their dartboards.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds like a weird thing, but I really enjoy like a real dartboard.
Yeah.
And then there's so many like hangout spots where you can go and hang with your dudes, and there's like fake, like arcade style dartboards, and they're lame.
Yeah, I hate the fake dartboards.
And I want something that could poke an eye out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah. They like so I appreciated them as far as owners go because when it was Hemmelberger or something like that before, like it was empty, nobody went in, and then Jill and Shay bought it and just completely changed it,
Sure.
And that was one of the things that like I wanted to look for with working underneath somebody is like good management, And so, and it was, Jill and Shay are just incredible people. Like, getting to work for them, like, really, because I love when managers and owners, like really care about their business and are intentional
Yeah.
with it. It's not like a
It's a big time
accidental.
deal.
Yeah, they take it very seriously. You know, like they really care for their staff. You know, they really care for their guests.
Yeah.
Shay's an incredible brewer. You know, the dude's a scientist when it comes to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I went and asked him, you know, I wanted to learn more about beer and how it works, and so he kind of ran me through like a bunch of different hops and yeasts and how it all works.
Sure.
And just like, and this is while he was like cleaning all the tanks and he's just like spouting all the stuff off. I'm like, geez.
It makes sense. Excuse me.
Mhm.
It makes sense that you would be interested in that. You know, we talked about your interest in coffee,
Right.
And it's really similar.
Mhm.
Like, it's really an art form. It's just really like someone making you know a recipe that everyone wants to share on the internet and you know put in a cookbook.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing.
Mhm.
It is literally a handmade, you know, scientific recipe that makes an amazing drink.
Yeah, it's wild. There's a place in town. I was talking to Ryan about this earlier today that you can rent a keg, and you can like brew your own beer. Like they give you like the instructions on like what to do, and then like there's all the materials in the back. You gather it all and put it in the vat, and then you can like make your own beer.
Huh.
Yeah, it's in town. I think it's like $175 if I remember right. I thought it was $300, but I think it's $175.
Huh.
But yeah,
That's not a lot.
I was thinking how dope it'd be to like make our own like culture pieced beer for an episode, you know?
That would be really cool.
Yeah, dude, it'd be hella cool. Like document the whole process and then
You
have,
have to like
try
practice your face like
Yeah.
it's good. I promise.
But yeah, then have like our first crack at it, like on live on the
Yeah.
recording. It'd be so awesome.
You know, I work with a guy who is he brews beer on the side and has got a hobby, and I mean, man, you know, just like you have a really cool podcast set up in your garage, it's like going into like a science lab
Yeah.
in his garage. Doesn't park a car in there. Doesn't store any camping stuff there.
It's his brewery.
Yes, it's literally a brewing kitchen.
That's amazing.
And it's so cool. Yeah,
Does he
does a very, very good job at it.
does he just sell it to friends and family, or what does he?
I think
why?
he's he wants to eventually start a brewery, and I think he's going to be really successful at it. But I think right now he's just like, you know, gaining recipes and you know perfecting stuff and brewing as much as he can, and I think he just gives it away. So
He's got to be doing something with it, like working towards something, you know,
yeah, I think he wants to be
like open
have
something.
a brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
But-
why else would you like?
for sure.
You know.
Yeah, you can make, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 good beers, you know, if you're really into it. But the reality is you need to be able to make 10,
Right.
10 to 20
Right.
really good ones because everyone has different tastes.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, sour is really popular right now, which I haven't really like super gotten into.
yeah,
I just got into IPAs through hazy IPAs. I hated IPAs.
yeah.
And then when I worked at Thirsty Street, I was trying all the drinks, you know, and they had a hazy IPA on.
Yeah.
And I was like, good grief, this is so flipping good. So I got like a pony and brought it home, and I was like making eggs one morning, and I was like, you know what? And I poured a little bit of the hazy IPA and had it for breakfast, and it was like drinking juice, dude. It was
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was such a good pairing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was so good. So now like I'm starting to more expand my horizons into IPAs because I have that palate for it now, you know?
Yeah.
Which is something that like culturally and like
Sure.
drink wise that I don't want to like stay away from things, you know, because I don't like it. I want to like find a way to like enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
So
That is a hard thing. That is a hard thing to do. Like
Mhm.
it, you know, that, like I was saying earlier, like I've tried some IPAs and it's so hard for me to get
Yeah.
into it. You know, my taste buds, they want like a bread,
Mm.
like a good ale
Mm-hmm.
that is, you know, just like drinking bread.
Drinking
That's,
bread.
yeah, that's like the best kind of beer that I like.
I go in seasons. So like in winter, I like darker, heavier beers like stouts, lagers, porters.
I
You
really
know?
like Marzen.
Marzen. What's that?
Marzen is usually referred to as something else, Oktoberfest.
Oh, okay.
So any kind of Oktoberfest style beer is a German Marzen beer.
Interesting.
And they're very, very good.
Huh.
Yeah, and they
I've
can
always-
vary a lot in flavor.
I've always considered like Oktoberfest to be more like in the pumpkin neighborhood,
Yeah.
so I've always kind of stayed away from it.
It's not like there's no pumpkin flavoring at all.
Huh.
I think that it's kind of got a bad rap because a lot of the labels and stuff are like fall themed.
Yeah.
And they have pumpkins on them or
Right.
squash or something like that. But there's no the flavors like that. No, it's
Hmm.
it's very spicy,
Yeah,
very very just kind of like palatizing for like just eating bread.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's such a weird thing to say, but like
yeah. No, I understand.
It-
I mean,
that
it's
is
it's
what
yeast
it's
and
like,
it's
yeah.
it has to ferment together just like what bread does.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. It's so good, but
Cool.
yeah. So maybe jump into some kind of I don't know, cultural topic. It's fun because like I have some like. I feel like there's some common ground that like we share with things,
Cool.
as far as I don't know, kind of like music and like that sort of
Mm.
stuff, So yeah, personal news. How we kind of start with that a little bit, like as we're going through these, like
Yeah.
what's going on in your life?
Well, I think probably like the biggest thing right now is that my son has a driver's permit.
Dang, dude,
That-
already?
Yeah, that is weird.
What the heck?
It's weird, Brooke and I had him when we were pretty young. Like I
Right.
was 20.
Right.
So, yeah, it's weird, I always thought, it would be cool. Like 10 years ago, I'm going to be excited when my
Yeah.
son can drive because I'm not going to be 40 yet. And,
Right.
I'm into cars and, and he's like incredibly smart and he's really into cars.
He is wicked smart.
But not like into cars like I am.
Right.
Like he's into like the engineering of the car,
Right.
not like making it.
Look cool.
cool.
Yeah.
And he appreciates that,
For
but
sure.
he definitely appreciates the difference between like, why you choose a V12 or a V8 over a V12 or vice versa.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
Okay.
And how old is he?
And he's
14?
like, no, he's 15.
15.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's
pretty
cool that
wild.
he's like into that technical mechanical aspect of cars.
Yes.
I remember, I was just thinking about it the other day. I read years and years and years ago, I read this article of this guy, like he bought a car with the intentions of like modifying or working on it. And his thing was he started with the brakes and suspension and it worked his way from there. Brakes, suspension, tires, and worked his way from there. I was like, that's a really, like, it annoyed me because of how practical it was,
Sure.
But if you think about it, like, those are the things that are keeping you on the road. you
Yeah.
know?
I guess you're right.
So, like,
You want that stuff to be good.
first, and then you work your way around that.
Yeah.
And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, that just makes so much sense. Like, why not start with that stuff?
I wanted to like take the headlights out of the car.
Right.
and,
Yeah,
and take them
exactly.
apart and paint the inside of them, and then not finish it in time, and then I couldn't drive my car because I don't have any headlights.
Right. Exactly. That's how it was, too.
Yeah. Whoops. What was I doing?
Let's take out the entire interior of the car. you
Right.
know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's gray, and I want it to be black, and it's like, you paint it a black color that looks almost gray anyway, and you barely changed anything, but the whole interior was out of your car.
Yep, exactly.
That's dumb.
Yeah, I remember living in Arizona and I saw a car with like a white interior. It's like, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Like, I would do that to mine. So like literally like spray painted the dash.
Oh, dude, I
You do
tried the white
dumbest
interior.
stuff when you, yeah, because your Escort was white.
Yes, and then it changed to black within like it was about a year
Yeah.
because you cannot see out the windshield. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to buy polarized sunglasses to wear at all times in the car because
it's so bright.
just to see through the windshield. Yeah,
Yeah, it was. I remember my car being super bright too. It was annoying.
yeah,
It was awful.
yeah.
like, why
but,
did I do this?
I don't know. It was early 2000s, so it's like
Yeah. Fast and
was
Furious themed
Sure.
and influenced and yeah.
the times change. So
Thankfully, we changed too. Are you guys
Yeah.
good on beer back there?
Mm-hmm.
Dalton, you want some more?
I'm good.
Okay, cool.
well, that's really the only new thing. I'm a pretty regular guy. Like I just go to work
Yeah.
and I come home. you know, you already know I built a computer.
Right.
I've been ignoring my house quite a bit.
That's fair.
There's a lot of things that need to be fixed and done in my house, and I've ignored it. So that's
right
not
to the
new.
winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. What do you just did it strategically so you hit winter. You're like, well.
Yeah. Well, last year, I have a really nice weed eater, and then my lawnmower was old and busted.
Yeah.
And it was just like I got through the whole year. And so this year I bought a new lawnmower.
Nice.
And my weed eater quit.
Gosh.
So then I was like, everything was nice and mowed and all the edges were tall.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is just dumb.
I bought my first mower this year.
That's a very manly thing to
dude,
do.
yeah. And I bought brand new. You know, I was like, I ain't gonna like, because I put on Facebook, like, if anybody's got a mower, you know, I want to buy it. All these people are like, oh, this thing doesn't work, that doesn't work, you know. And I'm just like, it was $250.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have the history with it. You know, I don't got to worry about like whatever someone did with it. You know, like.
And they're still fickle, even when you buy it brand new. Like they need to be really maintained.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
It is stupid. It's so annoying.
And they have like electric mowers, like a thing now, like electric push mowers.
Yeah, brushless mowers.
Yeah, and you put them like on. They like park onto a charger, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
It's almost like a Roomba, you know, where it goes and parks itself.
Yeah.
But like, and they have Roomba mowers too. Like
They do.
they're basically like automatic. I don't know about that kind of stuff.
Either. That seems dangerous.
I know.
Here's
Like
the
a
thing with
Roomba,
the
I
blade,
can put
it's
up
gonna
with.
like go around by itself. Like
Right. It's got a little brush on it. It might, run over some dog poop and push it all over your carpet. But I mean, that's the worst thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
A lawnmower that's automated. I mean.
Yeah, it's got a blade. It's got a legit blade on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it will. It can't hurt.
It's
somebody.
going to run over a dog or a cat or somebody's kid or something. It's
Right,
just
exactly.
going to happen.
It's gonna secretly take over the world.
Sure.
I got a truck.
You did.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There's that Tundra at the end of the driveway. Did you see it?
I did see it.
Yeah. I bought my first truck.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What do you need a truck for?
Projects.
Yeah.
Mostly like car stuff, redoing this house, you know.
Sure.
Because I have that little rabbit that I've been driving around, right?
Yeah.
But I just like I can't put any sheets of wood in it, you know, like you just can't do that.
Yeah.
So I thought about it and prayed about it a lot, and it's it's a 2002 with 210,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
But it's a Toyota, you
It's
know.
a Toyota.
Should theoretically last a long time. So
It should.
so the goal is pre-runner.
Okay.
Like, I want to pre-runner it, not like the Fox suspension and all that, but definitely like the wide fenders and all.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
it's
awesome.
crazy because like I know like car offsets, I know what wheels fit on what, and this is like a totally like whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's weird.
One thing that I've really enjoyed about having a lifted vehicle is that you can reach everything.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I don't need jack stands to change my oil.
Right. Yes.
See, before I had a problem with finding the right jack stand to actually go under the car because my cars were too low.
Which
And
boards to pile up so you can drive on top of the boards.
Yeah, you have to it's a step-by-step process.
Yes.
Now I don't even have a jack that will go high enough.
Right. That's the problem I'm running into.
Yeah.
Is I need like a taller jack.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have suspension here that I'm gonna work on putting on.
Sure.
And I'm like, how am I gonna like jack it up? So I have the opposite problem now. But like, how do I get this thing in the air? So
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be fun.
They make these like airbag jacks that are
Yeah.
really cool. I just don't know.
It sketches me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just I evidently don't buy a Harbor Freight Jack.
Right. Yeah.
Because they recalled them and then
Yeah.
they recalled the recall. So then they just don't buy them.
Which is like, I mean, I
They're
have some
probably-
they're over by Dalton, and
Yeah,
like
they
I bought
probably
them like
fixed
a
it.
couple months ago, like before the recall, and I'm like,
Yeah, you just gotta like look to see if they got the sharp teeth or the round teeth. If they got the round teeth, don't use it.
sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Dalton did the sharp teeth or round teeth? No, jack stands.
Oh, round. I tell you,
Dang it!
I don't know. There's like a lot of things over here.
No, it's good. They're round. So they're the bad. They're the
But
bad ones.
I think that their thing is if they're the bad ones, you just take them in there and they give you new ones for free.
Huh.
So they'll just exchange them. That's what I heard anyway.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. And then I shared a picture of somebody like double stacking their
I saw
their
that.
Harbor Freight Jacks.
Yes.
I'm like, well, now you're dumb.
Yeah, I don't think they'd win in that.
No.
No, there's no winning. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, I was like, I have friends that do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacks don't scare me anyways. Like being
Yeah.
underneath the car scares me.
You're right.
Like I get so claustrophobic. Like
Sure.
'Cause
It's
I
a
think
giant thing that will squish your head.
Yes.
So.
like I will like nudge the car like 50,000 times so I can run at the outside of it just to like be super certain the thing ain't going nowhere before I crawl under it. Because, ugh.
My dad would just use the wheel. So he'd use the jack to lift it up. He'd take the wheel off, put the wheel under it, and then lower the car onto the wheel, and it would just be like,
Ooh.
and then take the jack out, and then go to the other side, jack it up, take the wheel off, put the wheel on, and he's like, "I'm not going anywhere now." You know?
Like, yeah. But your side skirts are.
Yeah,
Your pinch welds are.
sure. I guess it's not going to fall over if it's on top of a wheel.
I
But
guess so.
Yeah.
I stick a wheel underneath it just in case.
yeah,
Because, like, if it...
it's a safety thing.
It's a safety thing, yeah. So if it falls, it's going to fall on the wheel. And I might have a chance of surviving, but it increases the odds nonetheless.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my personal news, is owning a truck and learning and
That's
like, everything
cool.
about trucks. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
There's always a reason for a truck. I was joking about that because like the one thing is if I owned a truck, I would just make it a personal rule. I don't help people move.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, here's
But I
the
probably would
keys.
still do it.
You move. Like, you do
Yeah.
the moving.
Yeah,
so.
sure. You can just borrow the truck. I don't want to lift your stuff.
Yeah, it's perfect because this one's all beat up. Like it needs new bed sides, it needs
Yeah.
everything. So it's like,
That's truck right
yes,
there.
it's,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it. Like I can just throw stuff in the
Throw
back.
stuff in the back just
Seriously.
because you can throw it in there.
Dude, I went on this like little random like exploration trip to like East Rosebud last week.
Yeah.
And just like mobbed, like just mobbed the dirt roads. It's like I don't care. I'm in a truck. Like I can do whatever I want.
Put some in the back that you don't even need to bring with you, but
Yes.
since you can, you just
Exactly. Yeah. Just go buy wood randomly. Who cares?
do. Yeah. You got sandbags in there? Yeah, I don't know why, but I got them.
What's that 2x4 doing in there? I don't know. Just back there.
Yeah, I just threw a couple beer cans back there. Because I don't even like that kind, but I just threw them back there because
The traditional Montana way.
exactly.
So we I had a little bit of coffee kind of news for our coffee listeners, and maybe you
Good.
can be educated on this too.
Yeah, I love coffee.
So, do you do pour overs?
I don't own a pour over, but I do like them. If I go into a fancy coffee shop, one with a bike hanging on the wall,
Yeah, yeah.
because those are the only good ones.
Yeah, there's no good.
And then I usually get a pour over or a Chemex or something.
So this scale could be for you. So it's a company called Pour Labs, POUR Lab, not POOR. But they brand it as intuitive brewing. So it's got this. It's almost made for the like precision brewing without. So for me, like I have kind of like the basic. I have a scale and I have a timer. And I can make a pour over the same way every single time.
Right.
As long as like my grinder's dialed in, and I can make a pour over every single time. But this, like, it's got the. I should probably turn it sideways. So the ring on the outside, it's a light, and it instructs you like when you should pour, when you should let it rest, when you should pour again, when you should stop.
Wow.
So yeah, so it almost like coaches you through
For the perfect pour
for
over
the
coffee.
perfect pour over. Yeah, so it's like timed, weighed, and it also like instructs you on like when to pour. So
Get one.
the thing is, I don't need one. Like,
Yeah.
it's a really... Yeah, so this one says the greens go and you pour, and then it says stop, and then you're good.
Cool.
Yeah, and then on the back side, they kind of have, like, a graph of, like what, like, your grind size should kind of be, what you're looking for.
Oh, wow.
So-
Yeah, like if you like a sour coffee or strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's Wi-Fi compatible, so you can like you can like save your recipes and like what you've used, what you liked, so if you liked that grind size and like that time and how it turned out, then you can save it and like do it again the next time, which I think is kind of cool. So
That is.
yeah,
It's because like you make a every once in a while you make yourself a good cup of coffee. And you're like, oh man, that was so good.
Mhm,
Then
what did I
You think
do?
you can do it again, and
Right.
then it's like that was terrible.
yeah. So then this one you can save it and then just follow the instructions that you did the time before. So
Sweet.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So there's
Easily
that.
become a coffee professional.
You really could. Yeah. 'Cause it's taken me like a really long time to like figure out like the right measurement, the right grind size. You know, it's different with different coffees too. You know, like some are darker, some are lighter. You know, some like the bean is a different density. You know, so you need to grind it at a different setting. You know, there's a lot of complexities that go into it.
For sure.
But with something like that, with somebody that's new to coffee, it's like, okay, here's this basic understanding of like we need to start pouring, when you can stop, when you can start. You know, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. So
That sounds awesome. I think I want one.
yeah, they're on Kickstarter. I don't remember. I think they're like $150. Like they're not cheap, but I guess
Can't
kinda
put a
get-
price on the perfect pot of coffee.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything really for like. I don't know. I've been. It's hard. So like we talk about fashion every week. You know.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that's really like caught my eye recently with. I mean, because seasons are changing. You know. Kind of getting out of like the whole shorts and t-shirt sort of a vibe. You know, and kind of more into like the fall stuff. So. I don't know.
Are
seasons are just-
Crocs cool yet?
They're becoming cool.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people that I didn't expect to wear Crocs are wearing Crocs.
You know,
I would never know any.
I was totally against it for a long time, and then I bought some.
You own some.
Yeah, I wear them all the time. I almost wore them tonight, but then I was like, no, I just bought these nice Adidas. I won't wear them. But I did think like, oh, I'm going to see Paul Aspen. I'm not going to wear my Crocs. So like, I did think that.
I would have been like, "What are you
What are you
doing?
wearing?" But
what are those?"
I am like that, like dad now. Like I'm not even kidding. When I come home from work, I put on gym shorts and I take my shoes off. I still have my dress socks on, and I have my Crocs. So very often we'll be like, hey, do you want to go get some food or something? And I'm like, I ain't changing. I've been wearing dress pants all day. I'm wearing my
Scratch your belly. Let's go.
I'm that guy. Like whatever shirt I had underneath my button one, it stays.
I just imagine you like with your button-up shirt on,
Dude.
your gym short, and Crocs.
Dude, the other day I had like these bright blue like gym shorts on, and the shirt that I had like run out of white shirts. So the shirt I had underneath my button-up shirt was this like light pink Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. And so I had these blue shorts and the Sonic shirt that was pink with a blue Sonic on it, and my Crocs. And my socks were sunset. So if you can't see the feet, it looks like I have rainbow socks on. So it was really...
And you look like you were from Lockwood.
Yeah. And Brooke's like, are you wearing that? And I'm like, yes. So I just went out.
I'm glad you're comfortable in that.
I just,
I'm the opposite, and like even when I go to Walmart, I'm like, I got to put on something kind of okay to go to Walmart. 'Cause,
and
like,
I wish I was like that because, I do get slightly embarrassed sometimes. I'm like, and I'm telling my son, like, fix your hair. You either need to fix your hair or wear a hat. Those are the only two options you have when you're 15 years old.
Yeah.
And then, but he's looking at me like,
Nice Crocs, Dad.
Yeah, wow, cool. I'm not taking any fashion advice from you. So I'm
The
like,
Model X is the one that's standing right before me.
Yes, exactly. They want to walk like really far ahead,
I became a big fan of Etnies in the last couple of
Oh,
years.
cool.
Yeah, like I
What
kind
do
of
their shoes look like now?
they look amazing. Etnies.
Oh, okay. Because like I feel like, am I thinking of the right shoe?
Yeah.
They used to be huge.
Yeah, the big. They still sell them.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is awesome. But they, sell trainers like what you got going on.
Yeah.
They're really comfortable and like
Sweet.
they're more expensive, but like I have 4 or 5 different pairs and I just absolutely love them.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what they come out with for their fall line. We've talked a little bit on the podcast. Like I'm trying to buy more expensive things,
Yeah.
instead of like cheap things, because I
Sure.
buy a whole lot of like cheap things, not use them, and instead of buying like the really expensive thing and using it all the time, you know.
You know, and I kind of do that with sunglasses
Mm.
because I have a various amount of cheap sunglasses,
Right.
but I know that I can not care about those and it's fine.
Right.
But the problem is I really like I go outside all the time and I feel like I have to have sunglasses on. I got so used to it. And my eyes must be sensitive enough to the sun
Right.
to where that's what I think about when I go outside. I'm like, I forgot my sunglasses.
Right.
So I take really good care of my sunglasses,
Mm-hmm.
and I buy some nice ones, and I'll like look up, you know, what's the best bang for my buck, and you know
Mm-hmm.
what's popular right now, and what. So I have these Gooder ones. I don't know if you know what.
Gooder.
Yeah, they're called Gooder, like Goodr,
Nice.
Gooder, and they're
Not
like,
better. They're gooder.
they're Gooder, yeah, and they're really awesome. Like they have that kind of like cheap sunglass feel,
Right.
but you can tell when you're holding them that they're much higher quality. And they're still in the inexpensive range. You don't
Interesting.
have to buy like a $150 pair of Ray-Bans because you're getting the same quality for $50.
Interesting.
And they're really
Maybe I
cool.
should look at that because I just buy like the cheap like H&M ones, you know.
Yeah,
Burn through them, lose them, scratch them, sit on them, whatever.
yeah.
And I don't care, you know.
You'd probably like the Gooder ones. They have a couple of cool, new, you know, stylish.
Yeah. Which I feel like I should take better care of, like my sunglasses, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, they're $5. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't care.
that is a nice thing, you know, to have cheap sunglasses that you can leave in a car or just toss on to, you
Right.
know, the couch and sit on them later or something.
Right.
You know? But you know, I don't know. There's this thing about having nice sunglasses.
Oh, you know what?
So
We have the power of
Checking out
Instagram
some
right
good
here.
ones?
We can look at them together.
cool.
I always forget about like. So the point of like the screen is for like us to both like see what we got going on.
Yeah,
But also,
I really like this. This is cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
And like an element that I don't have in my podcast. We're almost like trying to share it on the screen. You know.
Mm-hmm. And
kinda
it's
cool.
like, and
I
it's
like
fun
it.
because like me and you, we like when we talk, like this is born out of like our natural conversations,
Of
you
course.
know. And so like we were always passing our phones to each other, you know, and showing each
This is
other
what you're
whatever.
doing anyway.
Yeah, and so instead, like since we're recording it, you know, putting it on YouTube, it's like, well, let's show people what we're talking about as well, include them
Yeah.
into like the conversation. So the dream is to like get like a big old TV, you know, that we can actually like have like a big projection on, people can actually follow through.
Cool.
Yeah, so Gooder, Godr.
Yeah.
The first top one.
Right up there.
So on Instagram, it's just Gooder, Goodr.
Yeah.
Look at this guy with a beard. Oh my gosh,
See how cheap they look?
they do.
But
They
when
look
you're holding them
incredibly
in your
cheap.
hand, like you can tell they're a different quality than cheap.
Different quality than cheap. That hoodie's dope. That sweatshirt she got going on.
Mine are like a clear white, classic style,
Dude,
and
those
they
are
have
sick.
like, I don't know, cool American flags on the side.
Yeah,
I
I've
was
seen
just
those
like-
actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool. Wow, these are amazing actually.
Yeah, they have some really stylish ones. I think they put lots of thought into their marketing and what they look like because they don't have like a million, you know, styles.
Right.
They just really kind
A
of
few good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the style that you have.
yeah. That's the
Mhm.
the classic style there.
It's
They come in-
$25.
Yeah.
Sweet. You can get Wonder Woman themed.
Oh, and they have like blue blocker glasses too
Yeah,
that they
what?
sell a lot because like blue blocker glasses are getting more popular right now.
What do you mean?
Like
I don't understand
people
this.
buying like glasses that are non-prescription, but they wear them just because we're so screen focused these days.
Oh.
Maybe they want to try to protect their eyes a little bit more. So you just can have like, just like cheap sunglasses, you can have a bunch of these like clear blue blocker lens glasses laying around. You just throw some on when you're watching TV, throw them back on the table,
Huh.
pick some up when you're on your phone, when you're laying in bed or
What?
something. And yeah,
Dude, this is exactly what I like having you here because this is like stuff that I have no idea
for
about.
sure. Yeah, you saw there's a few like
These
that
ones
kid
right
right
here,
there.
yeah? Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
they're like a weird style. Like you see somebody wearing those, you're like, what the heck are they wearing? But it's like, that's the whole point.
Right,
is
right.
that you don't look like everybody else.
This is a good find, man. I like this. Coulter Gooder. There we go.
There you go. Right up our alley.
Yep, exactly. Exactly what we're going for. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I bought mine at Shields, so I don't know
okay,
any
nice.
other place that sells them locally, but
Sweet. I love that. That's good. What music are you into right now? Let's talk about that.
okay. I've kind of really got into outlaw country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
First you get a Jeep, now you're in outlaw country.
Yeah.
And Crocs.
But
Dude,
I've
what do
always
you
been. I know, who am I? But I've always been a fan of Johnny Cash. So, and Johnny Cash kind of helped me transition into some. Johnny Cash is iconic.
Sure.
And, he's got his famous songs.
Right.
But I don't know if he's like the best old outlaw country guy.
Sure.
I feel like I listen to more Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson.
Okay.
And David Allan Coe, some of these old guys that their music was really heartfelt, and it was just like it was edgy.
Yeah.
Like this was edgy music at the
Right.
time.
Right.
In the late 60s, early 70s. To be this edgy, you had to be like have long hair and be into rock bands and stuff like that.
Right.
And these guys were country music stars that people thought were wholesome.
Yeah.
Like this was the wholesome music.
Right.
And then these guys were like singing wholesome music that
Right.
was not wholesome.
Yeah.
So
Ring of Fire.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
they were real outlaws.
Yeah.
And I really got into it because I can listen to it at any time. It's chill for in the morning. When I first get to work and I'm the only one there.
Yeah.
I could turn on like Godsmack or something, but it's like way too loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, no one wants to hear Godsmack in the morning.
No.
I don't want to hear Godsmack anyways, personally.
Yeah.
But
It was just-
especially in
yeah.
the morning.
Especially in the morning. So, no, I'm outlaw country is kind of like my go-to, like just chill time.
Interesting.
So
That's a genre that I've never dove into. Like I like punk rock,
Yeah.
kind of all those neighborhoods. But that's like one avenue of music that I just haven't dove into,
yeah, honestly, like some of it is a lot more relatable than you think.
Right.
And these aren't country songs like the new "I'm Rednecker Than You" song.
Right.
It's not like
My
that.
truck is
This
more lifted.
Yeah, great song actually. I'm just kidding. These songs are more like hey, I had a hard day and all my friends are really awesome and I can't do life without them.
Right.
Like those are like the themes of these songs, and it's just really great. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Maybe we should dive into a little bit more of that.
But I mean, in other times, like I find myself listening to podcasts more often
Yeah.
than music these days. I still listen to a lot of music. I mean,
Right.
Spotify's on all the time,
Right.
whether it's music or podcasts.
Right.
But I'm into podcasts because you really learn a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn a lot, and
I listen to a ton of podcasts too.
yeah,
And that was one of my hard things about starting a podcast. Is like what, like why does the world actually need another podcast?
yes.
Guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of doing podcasts is that, you can have different motivations, of course, in a
Sure.
podcast. You can want to be like Joe Rogan and have a podcast where you're making millions of dollars.
Right. Which would be nice. I'd be
Yeah,
alright with
oh,
that.
sure. Yeah, winning the lottery would be nice too.
Right.
Great, but it's not going to happen.
Right.
So the motivation should be to just have your time where you can speak freely, talk about whatever you want,
Right.
and people can either tune in or tune out.
Right.
And that's the beauty of
You
it.
can have it in the background, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been listening to a ton of podcasts too. What other podcasts do you like?
I've been I listen to. It depends on if I can pay attention closely or not.
Right.
So there's one called "You Have Permission,"
Okay.
and it's by this guy named Dan Koch, and he is a he's kind of he's training to be a psychologist. He grew up in like a very strict religious background.
Okay.
He's rebelled against that.
Right.
And now he's kind of like really a very intelligent person that has advanced very quickly on figuring out how to depolarize spirituality.
Interesting.
And to kind of find the middle ground and like really focus on who God is and not what other people tell you God is.
That's dope.
So it's really, really cool. You have permission, and the theme behind it is like you have permission to think and do whatever you want.
Yeah. Like it's good for you to think, ask questions.
Yeah, you have permission to ask about this. You have permission to talk about this. Yeah. And because there's a culture in Christianity specifically where you don't ask those questions or you don't talk about this, and that's just dumb.
Right. I grew up Catholic, and like that's exactly the conversations you have.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, I grew up Baptist, so it's like, you talk about hell or anybody, it's like that's bad. You can't even talk about it, and it's like,
Right.
I want to know about it. I want to know what I believe, and so that's really cool. That's a good podcast, but I kind of have to pay attention when I listen to that one. So sometimes when I go on lunch or something, I'll just sit in my car and like just sit back and listen. But if I can just turn on a podcast and hear little bits and pieces of it, I usually choose something a little more comedic. Yeah. I listen to The Dollop.
Okay.
The Dollop is a good one. Two comedians that one guy tells a story about history, and the other guy has never heard the story before, and he commentates like the thing, and they role play with each other about the story. So I don't know. They talk about any random thing that's happened in history, and they elaborate on it and make it funny, and you learn something at the same time.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's really cool.
Huh, that's cool. I love that. I've been listening to the Carey Nieuwhof Leadership Podcast. I love that one. Like, it's faith-based, but he doesn't just interview believers. Yeah. Just a wide gamut of leaders, entrepreneurs. It's so good. Just rich content. Then the Revival Motoring Podcast, some guys out in like New Jersey, like just these three dudes that just like sit around and it's hilarious. They're all like European car enthusiasts. So like they're great dudes. Like I started listening to them from one of their first episodes, and so they're just really, really cool people, Sure. They have a lot of good content. And it's kind of like some stuff you have to pay attention to because like they're intelligent, they have a lot to actually say. Yeah. But it's also nice like when you're cooking or whatever to kind of just like listen to something, So
for sure.
Yeah.
There's a good one you might be interested in called Catch the Fire, I think is what it's called, and it's by Dustin Kinsrew. You know who that is? He's the lead singer of Thrice.
Oh, okay.
And he talks about how, he's got a journey to where he's got to a point to where he's not a Christian anymore. Right. And it's a lot of what he talks about is really relatable. Actually, a lot of the struggles he's had, and how he views the world and how he views Scripture and how he views God, and he talks very openly about it. And man, it's really cool to hear someone just like be honest about something for once.
For sure.
And that's what I really appreciate about it, is that somebody's actually just like, stepping out there. Yeah, absolutely. Especially someone who is kind of famous, because like you have so much pressure on you to be a certain way, and especially somebody who is, the lead singer of a worship band in one of the biggest churches in the world, right, before it crumbled to the ground, right, and then. And the leader of a Christian band that got very, very popular. And, I mean, I'm sure had tons of pressure. Oh, yeah. And it's really cool to see him be honest about his faith.
Interesting. What was it called again?
It's called Catch the Fire. Catch the Fire. I'm pretty sure it's called Catch the Fire. Like, the logo is like a hand catching fire. So, like,
by process of elimination, it's probably Catch the Fire.
But, yeah, I could look it up or something.
That's awesome.
And we'll show you.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got into K-pop recently.
K-pop.
Yes.
Yeah, like K-pop the music.
Yeah, like the genre K-pop.
It's really good.
Yes, you
Yeah.
like it too?
Yeah, I mean,
Amazing.
I hear it every once in a while. Something gets popular, and I'm like, I've never disliked a K-pop song so far.
Hugh always gives me shit for it. Like, this is something that like I've just found. So my friend Ketty, her and I had coffee a few weeks ago, and she's like, I was asking her like what kind of music. She's like, I love K-pop. I'm like, you like what? She's like, K-pop. I'm like, is that like Korean pop? She's like, yes.
Yes.
And I was like, this is something I've not, like, tell me more.
What is it?
And so she's like, Stray Kids, BTS, like all these bands. I'm like, dude, give it to me. Like, I want to hear it, you know?
Sure.
So she like built me like a playlist, and like I kind of dove into it. And I was into this big like EDM house phase at that point, you know, like
Sweet.
that 3 month period where I was just like, all EDM, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and so like fit into that like super, super well. So like, yeah, so like that's been really fun to like dive into like different culture of stuff. That
I think it's good. I think anybody that just hates on something like that right away without experiencing it, it's a completely different culture. Like,
Yeah.
they do things so much differently than we do,
and that's what I love.
including music.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what I love. I love all aspects of like different cultures,
Yeah.
you know, like, and like it's just a subgroup that I had no idea about. So yeah, pretty interesting. So like Stray Kids, I guess they just put out a new album this last week, which is interesting. So like me and Hugh have been talking about like, well, I brought up like 6 episodes ago, like when COVID was starting, like there's gonna be a renaissance in music, you know, like because all these artists are locked in their house. What are they gonna
sure.
do? They're not on tour, you know,
Yeah.
like. Their only option is they're going to create music, you know? And so now we're starting to actually see, like, the fruits of those things coming forth. And it's really exciting for me.
I think so too, because some of these people, they get so popular that they kind of get stuck in this rut.
Yeah.
Like where they only have certain expectations.
Right.
And they kind of like get used to being popular and then doing a minimal amount of work, and people are going to like it no matter what.
Right.
So I think it's good. Some of
Yeah.
these people are very, very talented, and they need to actually get back. This is what I think about Justin Bieber.
Right.
Like, honestly, that kid is like ridiculously talented.
Unbelievably talented, yeah.
Like, he got famous from YouTube and drumming, and he's an amazing drummer, amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
Can almost play any instrument.
Right.
Very, very good vocalist. But then, like, as he got rich and popular, it was like lame pop music.
Right. Yeah.
And that it doesn't take, like, there's so much less talent going on there than, the unsigned metal band that's over
Right.
here doing the most amazing things you've ever heard.
And I think, like, the difference is, like, the label, because there's a lot of people that join into a label, and then the label creates the image for them,
Yeah.
as opposed to, like, the independent punk rock band is just, like, doing whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Well, they give them the option, do you want to do this or do you want to make money?
I
So
really
then-
give Bieber props for actually like becoming a believer. You
Yeah.
know? Because he's basically like he's saying like, okay, like that was me in the past,
Yep.
but this is the new me, and y'all are just gonna have to deal with it.
Sure.
I think that's dope. You know,
Yeah.
like he put out a new song with Chance the Rapper
Yeah.
a couple days ago called "Holy." It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll have to go check it out.
I think it's one, and that came out of quarantine. Like that song came from quarantine.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then BTS, like I guess K-pop's like biggest, like most well-known band. They put out a song 2 weeks ago, and it's their first English-speaking song, and it's been like the #1 song in America for like 2 weeks.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Especially because like one of the more popular songs in like the rock world is the Wolf Totem song. Have you heard that by The Who?
Oh
Which
yeah.
is like a Mongolian metal band.
Yeah.
And featuring Jacoby from Papa Roach.
Right.
But it's such different music than we're used to hearing.
Yeah.
And like that, all that stuff's popular right now,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah. And that's like, and it's like I said, it's cool like seeing that stuff like the artists have been locked in their houses for so long, like cranking out all this super cool stuff, you know.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. It hypes me, like seeing all
That's
this new
good.
music come out. So
That's cool.
I've been in a big pop punk phase
Yeah.
the last couple weeks. Like it's stuff that I used to kind of listen to like in high school, you know, and then like I've just started to kind of rediscover a little bit more of it, you know. It's been so much fun.
Think about like the kind of. I'm not a reader. I don't like sit
Right.
and read books like my wife does. She's a reader. She just reads all the time, but I guess for her like that would be just as exciting because all these authors like. Now, what are they going to do?
Right.
But they're gonna write something,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be some really amazing books coming out
Yeah.
too. I bet.
Great stuff coming out in quarantine.
Yeah.
So good.
Cool.
Want to move into cars?
Yeah, always.
Dude. Should we start with the biggest news?
Sure.
The Z?
The Z.
Yeah.
That is just the Fairlady is just amazing.
You think so?
Very, very. I liked it. You know, the more and more I looked at it, actually, it got better.
Yeah.
You know, because at first I was like, you know, I felt the same way when I looked at, you know, the new Mustang or the new Challenger
Right.
or something like that. It's like, yeah, it's a new version of an old car. But the more you look at it, if you're looking at old Zs and you're looking at this Z, it's very cool. They put a lot of time and thought and energy into it.
Yeah, I wasn't why isn't going to it? But I wasn't a fan of the color. Like, why would you introduce a car in that color?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just not.
What do you think? Like the perfect Z color would have been?
They had that really nice white that they came in. You know.
Yeah,
Um.
with some red badging and
Yeah, the red badging. They had the
Nissan
red
kind of
interior at
like-
one point, I think.
that's kind of like a thing for them, you know, with the
Right.
GTR and stuff too. And
Yeah, so I mean, like it looks cool, but I mean the yellow, like I feel like just yellow is just such like
it hides things.
it's a niche color. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. Not everybody's into yellow, and like
It's hard to see the body lines. I don't know.
the renders that have came out of it are really cool. Like the
Yeah.
people that have been rendering them look amazing. So
Sure.
and it's just the prototype, but
Yeah.
So we've talked quite a bit about like kind of like where this is all going because we have like a new era of sports car. You know, started with the BRZ, right?
Yep.
What was that? 2010
Sure.
that those came out. And now you have all these manufacturers that are like, okay, well we haven't put out anything in a while. Like, what do we do? You know, like.
They're Japanese muscle cars.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And we haven't had this in a very, very, very long time, which I think is incredibly exciting, you know?
Yeah.
So this is the first Z that they've produced in 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Supra came out, right? And then
I hate that thing, but
yeah,
You
same.
but it's cool that they moved forward with it, and it's such a radical design. It really is.
Yeah.
That I appreciate it because of it.
Yeah, and like, but I feel like they missed a lot of it, you know? Like, they don't, like, it wasn't offered in a manual, you know? Like, they offered very limited trim packages.
Yeah, where's
Not-
the 2JZ?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, exactly. They got so much trash for being, tagged with BMW.
It really
and,
is a BMW.
Right.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
like almost every component that's worth a while in that Supra is a BMW.
But the
part.
problem is Toyota's reliable, BMWs are not reliable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the conundrum. Is
Sure.
like I will buy a Toyota Tundra with 210,000 miles on it, not sweat it. I'm not buying a BMW with 100,000 miles on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've
true.
owned a BMW and it had heaps of problems. You know?
Sure.
So like, and Quinn and Ian.
Things are just over engineered.
Yeah,
for sure.
Quinn and Ian
Yeah.
at European Performance,
Right.
right? They're stacked with BMWs.
Yeah, what a great business because
Sure.
they're gonna be broke.
Right, but you and I are going to pay to get that mug fixed. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So it does not make sense that one of the most reliable car companies,
Yeah.
Toyota, would put all unreliable things into that chassis. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
It is. It does drive me a little bit crazy too, and I liked the matchup between Toyota and Subaru.
Yes,
You know that was good.
that was good.
That was good. And I think they were trying to hide this matchup with BMW. Like, people had to discover it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of weird to me.
It took like 3 seconds for people to be like,
Yeah,
that's...
they're like, wait a second, all this has like stamping BMW stuff. Yeah.
And then who else came out with something after that? It was... Someone else came out with a Roadster just recently.
I probably read about it or know about it. I'm spacing.
Yeah, I'm saying too. But anyways, so now we have Nissan that's putting out another Roadster, you know?
Yeah.
And it's manual gearbox, it's turboed, you know? Like, they checked all the boxes that the enthusiasts want,
Yeah.
which I think is very fascinating. But it's like it in yellow is just, Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like mustard.
Maybe
It's not a good yellow either.
maybe when you see it in person, maybe the pictures and video just don't do it justice. Because like
You're
that had
right.
to be what happened is that they created this color, and then they were like all standing there looking at it like it's amazing,
Yeah.
you know. And then this just doesn't capture it or
Right.
something. That's got to be it.
Or it's like just such a prototype that they're like, we'll just fudge the lines a little bit.
Yeah, let's see what people think.
Yeah.
You know?
I do like how it has very much of the original Z styling to it, you know,
Yeah.
with the rear lights,
Like
the
things are in the right
badge.
place.
Yeah, the big kind of squared out front grill.
Yeah.
It's a good nod to the old, in my opinion.
But you know how like iconic Z flares are. Like
Mhm.
every manufacturer copies what Nissan did with the Fairlady Z flares.
Right.
This has none of that.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't even think about that, honestly. But yeah, I think it's a good step in the right direction. I was really sad when Nissan didn't put out the Datsun, the 510 renderer that they
Yeah.
did a few years ago. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
The thing was so amazing.
Very cool. Nissan's just having problems as a company anyway, though. Like
How so?
they're. I don't know the details on it. Elias tells me all the stuff because he reads cover to cover, Car and
We need
Driver
to get that
magazine.
kid on here.
Right. Yeah. But I guess they're in cahoots with what is that other brand?
Infinity.
No. Well, yeah, but they were bought out by Peugeot,
Oh, really?
or they're partnered with Peugeot. One of them bought each other.
Huh.
So, but they brought the problems from each company together, and then the CEO
Right.
was doing some sort of shady things, and they kicked him out, and then I don't know, some crazy stuff. So they're having problems as like at the top executive side, of
And
trying
your
to get
15-year-old
their
son is telling you about this.
Yeah, he is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he tells me like, didn't
We
you know
seriously
that-
need to have him as a guest.
and he
someday.
knows him by his name. You know the whatever guy from Nissan? I'm like, no. Does he work here in town? He's like, no, he's the CEO. I'm like, okay. Like, what do I know?
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, he just like knows that stuff. Because we have a subscription to Car and Driver, and I don't even touch them.
Right.
I look at the cover, I'm like, oh, cool. I ask him about it because he reads it cover to cover.
That's amazing.
He doesn't just look at the pictures. He's like in there reading about horsepower differences, and I'm like, well, I would be reading it, I'd fall asleep.
Right. The dude
And I have
just
to
seems
tell him
engrossed
like,
into
it's
it.
11 o'clock, go to bed. And he's like, I'm just reading. Car and Driver.
That's so good. Oh my gosh.
What a crazy kid.
Yeah. I'm the same way as you. Like, I just like, I want to like see the thing be cool. Don't care how it runs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
For sure.
It's the last thing in my mind.
The crazy part to me, like, is that, we'll see like a cool Mercedes, AMG or something go down the road. I'm like, dude, Elias, check that thing out.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's a 2008 AMG C-Class C24. They had the 18-inch brakes on the front of that one and stuff. And I'm like, no,
What?
I didn't. I didn't know that. Like, and he's like, actually, it's not that new, Dad. It's a 2016. It's 2020. I'm like,
Wow. The dude's just a worm, huh?
they've had a whole 2 generations after that now.
Wow.
Okay.
That's amazing.
He's like, they don't even have LED lights on that thing. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's a weirdo, yeah.
Dude, my nephew, he's 3. His favorite things are dinosaurs. His he knows like all like the technical names for all these dinosaurs. Like he told me his favorite dinosaur is like the Stegosaurus or something like that.
Yeah.
Big long name. I'm like, what is that? You know, he knows all these like. I'm like, are these how kids are now? You know, like just like wealths of information. It's weird.
That reminded me of this, like, you know how TikTok is like a huge thing right now.
It was
like,
a huge thing.
Well, I guess until like 2 days from now they get shut down or something like that. But
I guess so.
I still have not downloaded it. I'm like,
Dude, me neither.
I refuse. I'm like, I refuse to do it. But
Yeah, I was like, bump that. Like, I'm not.
I saw somebody share this video. It was really funny. This girl, she was, you know, people like will film themselves and then they put on a wig and then they film at a different angle. So
Yeah.
like they're playing two different people.
Yeah.
So she was playing herself and she was talking to God and she's like me, you know, and she's like, hey God, how's it going? And then she has this like fake beard thing that she made out of a face mask, and she's playing God and God's like, yeah, hey, did you make the dinosaurs have bigger muscles? And then she gets back and she's like, yeah, you told me to make them a meteor. And then it goes back to God and God's like, no, I told you to make them meteor. And then it goes back and is like, a meteor? And then, no, meteor. And then it goes back to her again and she's like legitimately crying. She's like, a meteor? And then it goes back to God and God's like literally crying. No meteor. And it's just like, it was the funniest thing ever. I was like, oh, dang it, they killed the dinosaurs.
That's so brilliant. But it's like Vines, you know, like Vines were like super cool. And
Man, why do they got to get rid of this junk?
I don't
you
know. I mean,
Copyrights, and, you know,
yeah.
whatever.
Government conspiracies. This was a piece of new thing that I found this week. Check this thing out. So it's a new company, I guess, but it looks like exactly like a Ferrari FF. You know?
Like you can tell where their inspirations are
Yeah,
from.
it's almost like when someone like...
It's like a cross between a Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari.
The funny thing is that so they're trying to style it after like...
Yeah, show me the back of this thing.
The race cars of the 30s.
Okay.
So there is no rear window, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, look at them exhaust pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, so their whole intention was to design these modern cars out of like that harken back to race cars of the 30s, which look cool, you know. So
What's the name of this company?
I think it's actually called Touring Superleggera. It's hard to pinpoint like what's actually going on here. Like I read through this article and I'm like, I don't know.
So they're not taking like an Alfa Romeo and modifying it. That's not what that is.
Well, because
it kind of looks like this.
Yeah. So what
Disco Volante.
So what it says is, so the co-founder explains it as he says, weight is the enemy, air resistance is the obstacle. Son of the co-founder Corazera Touring Superleggera, which I guess that'd be the full name, but they refer to it in this article a ton as Touring Superleggera. But they say this philosophy can be traced back to the very beginnings of the Milanese coach builders building in the 1920s. So, I guess what it is it's a new company. This model is called the Aero 3.
So it reminds me of like the guy who started what is that the really really weird looking supercars with the 4-piece exhaust on the back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy built his stuff in his garage first, and it was really weird looking, and no
Right.
one really liked it at first.
Right.
That's what it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
Just wanted to build something that no one else built.
Right. So this is going to debut in a couple weeks, I guess. So the Aero 3 is our version of the streamlined aerodynamic styling of the 1930s. Would look today. Touring is very famous. Touring is very famous for its lightweight bodies that blend style and aerodynamics efficiently. It is important for us to visualize the future embodiment of this is the key strand of our DNA. In that respect, the Aero 3 is very much shares its soul with the modern interpretations of the Alfa Romeo Disco Volante. So, yeah, I guess it's an all carbon fiber body. It's a V12.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Tourings, yeah, I guess like the name Touring.
Yeah.
It's kind of honestly like as creative as the car looks. I kind of expected a more creative name.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And color scheme, man. Like, why would you put orange letters on a red car? Like, come on.
It is weird, yeah.
Yeah. I like how it has these, like, gauges on the little stickers on the rear wing. Because it was kind of, like, iconic to, like, those cars. You know, you can, like, adjust the arrow. But...
It does look cool. Like, there's nothing really that looks like that. And it's almost like... I don't know. It's almost like they edged on making it kind of look like a Batmobile without making it look like a Batmobile.
Dude, I could
like,
totally see that.
You look at that and you don't think, oh, Batmobile right away.
Right.
But, I mean, if it was in flat black, you might.
You might. That's a good point. Someone pointed out having like split windows in the back would be really cool in this. I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. What I mean, is it rear engine? No, front engine.
It's front engine. That's why it looks like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Came across
Number 19.
Mm-hmm. Did you do anything catch your eye this week with cars or recently or?
You know, since I work for Volvo, I'm kind of becoming more and more of a fan of the Polestars.
Oh yeah.
And since only certain dealerships are allowed to sell them, so we don't hardly ever see them. We just see like Polestar package cars, like an S60 with a Polestar package. So it's got some cool features on it. But we actually had a V60 Polestar come in for service, and
Nice.
it was really, really cool to see. I mean, these things have giant brakes on them.
They're all electric, aren't they?
They're like supercharged.
Oh.
Yeah, or a lot of times they're V6 twin turbos.
Gotcha. Which ones are the ones that I'm thinking of that are all electric? It's not Polestar, obviously.
Well, they have there's a few Volvo. Maybe the S90 is an electric. Has an electric version.
Interesting.
But
I just love Volvo as a company right now. Like, they're just killing it. You know.
They do. Like, they have a really amazing style. They have good support.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fixed operations side is kind of a mess, but
right.
They're complicated cars.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're a little like the BMW and Mercedes, a little over-engineered, but in a different way. Like, they're over-engineered for luxury, and they think about every little thing. They think about where the stitching is placed on the seat, and all the shift knobs are made of crystal.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's just cool.
I love, like we've talked about on this show a few times, like just the intentionality of Volvo. You know, like everything has a purpose, everything has a place. You know, which I just absolutely love. Like the V90 or the S90.
The S90.
It's like a dream car. You know.
It is such a beautiful thing. It's very underrated.
Mm-hmm. I like the inscription. I like the shorter wheelbase rather than the longer wheelbase because they changed it in 2019. They went to a longer wheelbase in 2019. Is that right? Yeah.
It's a big car.
It's a big car.
It's big, yeah. And the V90, because you can get a V90 cross country and you can get a V90 like touring, and it's this super long hatchback, and it's really Like it reminds me of like the Harry and the Hendersons car. Like it's such a long car that you could fit 20 people in this thing probably. But
It's got fourth row seats back there. Like.
But it also like you look at it and you're like it's beautiful too. You
Yeah.
know, so it's really cool. They do a lot of amazing things that nobody else does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I followed. I think you gave me the brochure.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I know
yeah.
you said that you liked the S90, so I went and grabbed some cool new stuff for it.
Gosh, it was like I still have that in my house. Like I've sat it out on my table as like a coffee table because it's just a gorgeous.
Yeah, even that is intentional.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Their little brochure books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like definitely a dream car for me in the future is like the inscription. You know, first generation. You know.
Yeah, they go way like almost too far with their stuff, even with like the accessories. So you can buy a new Hyundai Tucson,
Right.
and there's 20 different types of accessories for it for, you know, putting crossbars on and little baskets and
Right.
little things that go in the back so you can put your pet back there or whatever. But like
It's like
Volvo,
it's like what
Yeah.
Volkswagen was in
Exactly.
2005. Yeah.
But Volvo does that as well, but they have like 8 versions of everything.
Right.
So like you can get the black one, the shiny chrome one, the steel looking one, you know, all of this just for the dog door in the back. You know, and it's just they are
Tons of
very,
options.
yeah. And the XC90 has they even thought of inside the little armrest in the third row, there's like a little spider web toy that's built into the car for kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intentional.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And they're gorgeous. Like their whole lineup is just beautiful.
Very cool. Very good wheel designs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good. Do you think they're going to do a lift back? Because last episode, me and Hugh talked about like we're living in the era of a lift back. Because every company has a lift back now, except for Volvo.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Because Honda has a lift back.
Yep.
You can get the Accord in the lift back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is dope, and it's you can get a manual in it.
Yeah, I just don't think that they're ready to do like such a. They're so, like we said, intentional with their. So they call it a SPA car. Is really SPA is like SPA, but it stands for it's an acronym for something. And I know what it is. I just can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But that's what the XC40, 60, 70, 90 is, and it's literally like the S stands for scale. They can literally take their design, stretch it, and make an XC90. So the XC40 is an XC90 scaled down.
Huh.
The design is literally the same.
Interesting.
So it's a really cool thing.
Huh.
And it's the only company I know of for sure that makes a scale version of their smallest thing or their biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense because they all look very, very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the XC40 is a cool little sporty rig.
Mhm.
Like it's CRV size, RAV4 size.
Yeah. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, just so much cooler.
Yeah.
Twice as much money. too.
Right. But they have a cool light bar in the back, like
Yeah.
the lights that. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, their lighting setup is so cool. They do a good job. It's no wonder you like Volvo so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm finding myself more and more into like hatches, that usability.
Yeah.
Like I like cars, but I also like having a hatchback,
Sure.
So. And they haven't really.
I'm not sure. Their hatch is just the V, and it's a station wagon.
Yeah.
It's not what you're intending for it to be.
Exactly. Which works, I guess. But Ryan, you okay on beer back there?
Oh yeah, man.
Okay.
Doing great.
Cool.
Just enjoying the conversation.
Rad. Yeah, that's kind of all I got for this week. Like, do you got anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, we could talk about cars for hours.
We could.
But
We absolutely could.
hey, I bought a new car too.
What? What'd you buy?
Yeah, so you were telling me that you bought a truck. I buy cars for myself all the time.
Right.
But I bought my wife a car.
Ooh, nice.
So,
What'd you get her?
I got her a 2014 Acura RDX.
Nice.
It's very, very nice. Yeah, it's
Solid.
It's very cool. But like this, there's a story behind me getting her a car instead of her picking it out.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
when we first got married, okay, so like she knows I'm really into cars, and then she just didn't want to be pushed into buying something she didn't want. So
Right.
she was very independent in that way.
Right.
But I know that she knows nothing about cars, so
Right.
I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. So, you know, I'm at work, and we had arranged this whole thing. She's going to go to the auction with her mom to buy a car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they going to come back with? You know, so she calls me and she's like, we did it, we bought a car, and I'm like, what'd you buy? And she goes, oh, we bought a Chevy Malibu.
No.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
Chevy Malibu.
Well, did you get it for a good deal? Yeah, we got it for a good deal. Okay, well, that's your car. You picked it out. Cool. So,
3 seconds later.
well, they drive. I was like, drive it over so I can see it. So they drive it over, and she gets out kind of like with this disappointed face, and I'm like, that's not a Chevy Malibu. And she goes, I bid on the wrong car. So she was bidding on the car that wasn't on the block. And we bought an Oldsmobile Alero, which is worse.
So much worse.
It's so much worse. So we actually had an
And that's a
Oldsmobile
lot
Alero
of
for
worse.
years.
Like Malibus are garbage.
Yeah.
But like an Oldsmobile's even worse.
Yeah,
Like,
this was like a step backwards from that.
unbelievable.
But it worked for a while, you know. It was her car. She was kind of proud of it because she bought it, you know.
Right.
And it had all of the Oldsmobile problems.
Right.
And we finally got rid of it. But
Like
then
get rid of it, you like scrapped it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she just realized at that point, like, you know, she got to buy her own car.
Sure.
And it wasn't something that somebody else picked out for her or anything.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool because,
Yeah.
like, that's what she wanted to do.
For sure.
And then by this time, you know, it was time for us to get her something else. So, and I was a little better at communicating with her what she needed
Right.
without just saying, you need this.
Right.
So we got her the CRV, you know, that 98 CRV.
Which was dope.
Yeah, it's been at low miles, and it's like one of the best Hondas you can buy is
Yeah.
a first gen CRV.
Absolutely.
The most rock solid, you know, thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been driving that for a long time. And winter's coming up, and Elias is driving. So I'm like, we just need to get her something nice and good.
Right.
So I didn't buy myself anything this time.
That's great.
Yeah, bought
I mean,
her an Acura.
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, she's still like when we go somewhere, she's like, "You drive."
Yeah.
So, but
Because you drove that, what was it, the CRV? No, Cross, what was the black one?
I had a Pilot for a little
Pilot,
bit.
yeah. Because you drove that
Yeah.
one a lot.
Yes, I actually bought that for her to upgrade from the CRV, but it was too big.
Right.
She didn't like it.
Right.
She was really used to the CRV and wanted to, you know, she thought it was cool. She's like, "Wow, cool, yeah, I like it. I like the leather. I like the heated seats, you know."
Mm-hmm.
And it was a first generation Pilot, and it was too big.
Yeah.
So she's like, "I don't want to drive it."
Yeah.
Going back to the CRV. So then I drove that, and then eventually got my Jeep.
Yeah.
But this Acura is really cool. It's like the perfect size for her.
Mm-hmm.
It's got very, very nice looking light, like beige leather interior.
Perfect.
It's like a metallic bronze that looks beautiful in the sun.
Yeah.
And it's got low miles. And
So good.
as soon as it showed up,
Is it trade-in?
yeah, I was like, we need to buy it.
Yeah.
So
Did you get a good price on it?
not as good as it could have if it would have sat long enough for me to get a good employee price on it. But
Right.
I was like, it's not going to last. We're just
No.
buying it.
Yeah.
So
Good, man.
it is good. She really likes it. She drove it once and she's like, this is my car.
Perfect.
Cool.
Like, we could have done this 10 years ago, man.
Yeah. So I got this mom car in my driveway
I
now.
love it. Plus a dope Jeep, plus the Volkswagen.
Yeah, Brett came over. He's like, well, you have 5 cars. And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah, I got
the Rabbit and
6
Beetle
here.
don't count. Okay, they just don't count.
They don't count, no.
Yeah. Yeah, those are
Like
are
part of the
cars.
family, like,
yeah, those are fun. That's just fun. Those are toys. They're not cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. Well, thanks for joining me, dude.
Yeah. This is really fun. Let's do it again. I don't wanna do it
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's fun just like hang out with a buddy and have a beer and just I mean, this is what we do when we hang out anyway.
Yeah,
You know? So
for sure.
So we want to encourage people, you know, we want people to like see more like what's going on culturally, you know, experience different things, you know, and
Yeah.
like sunglasses, you know, even as small as that, like maybe somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know, the sunglasses, you know, and like you as somebody who has your filters out for culture see things different perspective, you know, so like just a fun way to like maybe get like what God's put in us to do, you know,
Sure.
out into the world, you know. So
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like there's so much negative stuff,
hmm
and people get in this like rut where they just get stuck listening to all this negative things, and it just
Right.
it tears on you and wears on you, and people don't realize how much it's really affecting them. So when I do this, or Phil and I are doing a podcast, like I want it to be encouraging and fun, and something that somebody's like, man, I'm glad that I've listened to this instead of doing this, or you know, my day was crappy and I laughed a little bit at least,
Right.
you know, or something. So that's really what makes you feel good about
Absolutely. So good. Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks
for
having me.
everybody watching. 9.5. And then next week will be 10.
Yeah.
And then he should be back for next week. And yeah, so if like we say every week, if anybody has anything cultural that they want to send us, or news or something cool happening, Tate's been showing me a whole bunch of stuff, like, which is
Cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
He showed me this it's a percolator that was made for beetles, an old percolator that was made for, like, coffee percolator.
Yeah.
That was manufactured to fit in beetles.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
so rad. The dude's
Yeah.
just all about it.
That's
Amazing. So, but yeah, thanks everybody. We will see you next week. Peace. Cue the music.